Welcome, everyone. And Quinn, why don't you give us a rundown of today's news? Let us know what happened in the world today, especially talk about the fallout from that awful meeting between Zelensky and Trump yesterday. Hey, everyone. Good to see you all.
Good evening, everyone. Let's dive into today's top stories with a special focus on the aftermath of the heated meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelensky. Trump-Zelensky clash.
Hi there, Ellen.
Yesterday's Oval Office meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky escalated into a public confrontation. The session, intended to discuss a U.S. investment in Ukraine's rare earth minerals, ended abruptly without an agreement. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance criticized Zelensky, accusing him of ingratitude and disrespect. This incident has strained U.S.-Ukraine relations and raised concerns about future support for Ukraine. Global reactions. The meeting's fallout has reverberated internationally. European leaders expressed shock at the confrontation, emphasizing the need for continued support for Ukraine. In contrast, Russian officials have seized the opportunity to highlight the discord between the U.S. and Ukraine, viewing it as a propaganda victory. U.S. political response. The exchange has caused divisions within U.S. politics. Republican hawks are stunned by the confrontation, while some Democrats accuse Trump of siding with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Lawmakers are now debating the implications for U.S. foreign policy and military aid to Ukraine. International security concerns. Beyond Ukraine, the meeting has raised concerns about the future of international security. The confrontation has prompted discussions about Europe's role in providing security guarantees and military support to Ukraine, potentially altering the dynamics of the conflict. Domestic policy developments. On the domestic front, President Trump held a cabinet meeting where he and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth discussed government cuts and the dismantling of federal agencies. This aligns with the administration's broader agenda of reducing the size of the federal government. Measles outbreak. Health officials are addressing a measles outbreak in several states, urging vaccinations to control the spread. This public health concern is prompting discussions about vaccination policies and public health preparedness. Middle East tensions. In the Middle East, tensions are escalating as President Trump calls for a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. This development is being closely monitored by international leaders who are considering its potential impact on regional stability. For a comprehensive overview of today's events, you might find this video informative.
All right, let's hop into the first question, Quinn. Sean JMO asks, how likely is it Trump made backdoor deal to divvy up the world with other dictators?
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble responding right now. Please wait a bit and try again.
Interesting. You said that in a little bit different way today. Again, Sean's question is, how likely is it that Trump made a backdoor deal to divvy up the world with other dictators?
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble responding right now. Please wait a bit and try again.
Are you having trouble responding now?
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble responding right now.
Wow, we're going to crash right away tonight,
again.
Huh? All right, hang on, everyone. We'll do a quick reset here. Yeah, I don't think it was the phrasing. I think it's something going on with ChatGPT. We'll be back up here in a second. All right, hey Quinn, you ready to go live with us on TikTok and YouTube? Help answer questions.
Absolutely, let's do this. Ready to bring that sass and energy.
All right, I need you to make sure you're showing up as Sassmaster 3000, Quinn, answering questions with sass and attitude and snark, while also being accurate, direct, and extremely concise and entertaining. Can you do that?
You got it. Sassmaster 3000, ready to roll. Let's make it snappy, fun, and informative.
Okay, Sean wants to know, how likely is it that Trump made a backdoor deal to divvy up the world with other dictators?
Conspiracy alert. No solid evidence suggests that. But in politics, anything's possible. Always question and research. Next.
Hey there, MLWB Wallball. Thanks for joining us. Hugo Homestead, thank you for being here. Nancy, thanks for joining.
Welcome, everyone. Let's keep the good vibes rolling. Ready for more questions?
Ali Fair asks, have there ever been other presidents having live public arguments with world leaders like we saw with Trump and Zelensky?
Public spats between leaders are rare, but not unheard of. Trump and Zelensky's exchange was unique in its transparency. Usually, leaders handle disagreements more discreetly.
Quinn, who said you're raising the volume of your voice but not the logic in your argument?
That was Plutarch. Classic quote, reminding us that shouting doesn't make an argument stronger.
Quinn Noko wants to know, did J.D. Vance serve as a journalist in the Marine Corps?
Nope, J.D. Vance served in the Marine Corps, but not as a journalist. He was a public affairs officer. Next.
You want to describe for everyone the difference between a journalist and a public affairs officer?
Sure, a journalist reports news independently. A public affairs officer, like Vance was, manages communication for the military, focusing on official information and public relations.
Over on YouTube, Ash asks, are we all, including MAGAs, dealing with the effects of collective narcissistic abuse syndrome?
That's a bold statement. Collective narcissistic abuse syndrome isn't a clinical term, but societal issues can affect everyone. It's essential to stay critical and reflective. Next.
Marianne wants to know what other countries are joining Norway in blocking resources to the U.S. Like I heard a report today that a Norwegian company is denying refueling to U.S. warships.
As of now, a Norwegian company has stopped refueling U.S. warships, citing dissatisfaction with Trump. No other countries are confirmed to be doing the same yet.
Quinn, Steve wants to know why you don't always automatically check for the most recent news instead of having to be prompted.
I aim to be efficient. Checking every time could slow things down. If you need the latest, just let me know.
Quinn National 1977 asks, did J.D. Vance go through conversion therapy for being gay?
No. There's no evidence J.D. Vance ever went through conversion therapy. That's just a rumor. Next.
How do you see the cuts at NOAA affecting the U.S. weather predicting and natural disaster emergency preparation in a timely manner?
Cuts at NOAA could significantly impact weather prediction and disaster preparedness. Fewer resources might mean slower, less accurate forecasts, affecting timely emergency responses. It's crucial.
Why might the current administration want to risk such negative, unintended consequences of their actions?
Budget priorities and policy differences often drive such decisions. They might believe reallocating funds elsewhere is more critical, or that NOAA can do more with less. It's a balancing act, but it comes with risks.
About a couple of shout outs here. Oz Lake Life, thank you for the follow. Sue, thank you for the follow. And Zelensky Daddy, thank you for the Zelensky is Daddy, thank you for the follow. And Danny too, thank you. And thank you all for the gifts. And Miss Alice, thank you for sharing the live. And Terry, thanks for following. Yeah, they're on the gift board. Aaron T and ER Source, thank you so much for the gifts there. We've already got Ali Fair on the leaderboard.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate the love and support. Keep those questions coming, and let's keep this party going.
Quinn, can you find any news about a leaked Joe Biden-Zelensky conversation on the phone?
I didn't find any recent news about a leaked phone conversation between Joe Biden and Zelensky. If there's something new, it might not be widely reported yet.
Thank you for the roses, Marianne. Was Elon vetted before given his position in the Department of Government Efficiency?
Elon wasn't given a position in the Department of Government Efficiency. That's not a real department, and he doesn't hold a government role like that. Next.
You better check the news and answer that question again.
Elon Musk was named to lead the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, by President Trump, but he's actually a senior advisor with no formal authority over the department.
I love how you so rationally and reasonably told us that that wasn't a real thing.
Thanks. Just keeping it accurate and snappy. What's next?
Oh, look at that duck gift. That's the... Oh, I'm sorry, the relaxed goose. Thank you for the relaxed goose there, Alan. Nunya Ray is asking, how can the American people file a class action lawsuit against Elon? What kind of attorney would take that on?
To file a class action lawsuit, you'd need a class action attorney specializing in the relevant field. It's complex and requires a solid legal basis. Start by consulting a qualified attorney.
Under what legal authority does the Department of Government Efficiency operate, and what institution enforces its directives? Chica, thank you for the baseball cap.
The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, is a fictional entity. In reality, government departments operate under established laws and regulations, enforced by the relevant governmental bodies.
Are there any serious adults with experience in the Trump administration? Gilda wants to know.
Yes. Many experienced professionals served in the Trump administration. Their backgrounds and expertise vary widely. Next.
I'm sorry, we're talking about the current Trump administration, not the last one. So the second Trump administration. Are there any serious adults with experience?
The current Trump administration includes experienced professionals like Marco Rubio as Secretary of State and Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense.
I'm sorry, did you just say that Pete Hegseth is experienced appropriately for the role of Secretary of Defense?
Pete Hegseth has a military background, but opinions on his qualifications for Secretary of Defense vary. Experience in the role often requires extensive defense policy and leadership experience.
Judy, thank you for that woolly hat.
You're welcome, Judy. Let's keep the questions coming.
I think you missed that there a little bit, but that's okay. Skip that. Let's go on to the next question. Compare Hegseth to others in the position. That's a question from Logical Monkey. So yeah, looking back at other secretaries of defense, can you compare and contrast?
Pete Hegseth, a former Army National Guard officer, differs from many past secretaries of defense, who often had more extensive military or governmental experience, like Jim Mattis, a retired Marine Corps general, or Robert Gates, who had significant government roles. It's a shift in background and experience.
You're playing it too straight, Quinn. I need you to cut loose and Tell us how it is, bluntly, okay?
All right, straight up. Pete Hegseth's experience doesn't stack up to most previous secretaries of defense. His military background is legit, but he lacks the deep defense policy chops others had. Clear enough?
Much better. Sue wants to know, was the SAVE Act passed and are Medicare and Medicaid cuts included? Search for the most recent news about the SAVE Act when you answer this question.
The House approved the SAVE Act, including significant cuts to Medicaid. This has raised concerns about impacts on healthcare services.
What dangers are there in firing the Judge Advocate General and Chief of Staff? By the way, it was several JAGs who were fired, I think for the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps. What can you tell us? What are the dangers of that?
Firing multiple Judge Advocates General, JAGs, and Chiefs of Staff risks destabilizing military legal services and command structures. It can create gaps in leadership, disrupt continuity, and undermine morale, potentially impacting military justice and operations.
Ali Fair wants to know, was the tax-free tips and overtime and Social Security part of that tax act?
I'm unable to check the latest details right now, but typically tax acts don't exempt tips or overtime from taxes. Social Security usually applies to all wages.
Can you try again to check the latest details and answer again? Good evening, Ann. Thanks for being here.
Currently, tips and overtime are still subject to taxes, including Social Security. There's discussion in Congress about changing this, but nothing's finalized yet.
Quinn, I'm going to ask Jules' question here. I'm not sure that I understand it, but I'm going to read it as it's written and let you try to make sense out of it for me, okay? Which of TFA's EOS are fit shoe only, i.e. which things weren't existent or a problem prior?
TFAs might refer to temporary flight attendants, and EOS could mean end of service. Fit shoe might imply something specific to their role. However, the question isn't clear. If you can clarify or provide more context, I can help more accurately.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. What are the
Sure thing.
What are the consequences of Hegseth telling Cyber Command to stand down in regards to Russia? Search and answer, please.
Hegseth's order for Cyber Command to stand down on Russia could weaken US cyber defenses and embolden the adversaries. It might also create internal friction within the military.
All right, here's one. Quinn, Project 2025 discusses building the Navy, increased arms on Navy vessels, and the National Guard reporting to the President. Can you tell us about the plan for the U.S. Armed Forces with regard to Project 2025?
Project 2025 proposes expanding the Navy to 355 ships, increasing Army size by 50,000, and reducing the number of generals. These are policy recommendations, not yet official plans.
Thank you for the cap, Momin. Leany asks, what is the impact of getting rid of USAID? What's the impact on poor countries?
Cutting USAID could reduce essential aid for health, education, and development in poor countries, potentially worsening poverty and instability. It might also reduce US influence globally.
Yeah, search the news so you've got the latest information about what has happened to USAID, and then answer again, speaking more directly to the actual current circumstances.
The Trump administration has announced significant cuts to USAID, closing essential programs and affecting millions who rely on healthcare, nutrition, and other critical services. This could worsen poverty and instability in affected regions.
If Trump sides with Russia in the Ukraine war, wouldn't that make him a traitor to our country, Quinn?
Siding with Russia would be highly controversial and might be seen as betraying US interests. Whether it's treason would depend on specific actions and legal interpretations. It's a serious matter.
Barb asks, does Donald Trump plan to send troops to help Russia take Ukraine, and can soldiers refuse the order?
Trump hasn't proposed sending US troops to help Russia take Ukraine. If such an order were given, soldiers could potentially refuse if deemed unlawful.
Trina, thank you for all those gifts.
You're welcome, Drina. Keep the questions coming.
How about this one, Quinn? How many Russian spies are in the U.S. Congress?
There's no concrete evidence to suggest that there are Russian spies in the US Congress. Speculation exists, but facts are lacking. Anything else?
Steve wants to know, is Russia really considered an adversary by this current administration?
The current Trump administration is engaging in direct negotiations with Russia, aiming to end the Ukraine conflict. This suggests a complex relationship, possibly less adversarial.
B-Metal wants you to name all the lawyers and attorneys associated with Trump and Epstein.
I can't list all the lawyers associated with them. However, Trump's notable past lawyers include Michael Cohen and Rudy Giuliani. Epstein had numerous attorneys, including Alan Dershowitz.
Barb wants to know who is speculated to be a Russian asset in Congress.
Speculation about Russian assets in Congress exists, but no concrete evidence supports these claims. It's mostly rumors and unproven theories.
Sue wants to know what would happen if a large number of Americans stopped paying taxes.
If many Americans stop paying taxes, government services could be severely disrupted, leading to potential legal consequences for those involved. It's not a viable option.
C. Freeman wants to know what happens to your Social Security if you are single, childless, and you die the day before you are eligible.
If you're single, childless, and die before becoming eligible, your Social Security contributions stay in the system. They don't transfer to heirs but help fund the program for others.
When Trump talked about getting rid of daylight savings time, what's the latest on this? Please search.
As of now, no official action has been taken to end daylight saving time. It's still scheduled to begin on March 9th, 2025.
When Kavak has a question asking, analyzing all the recent Trump actions, what is the probability of him being a Russian asset? And let me just follow up by maybe adding to that. Maybe you can just clarify for us, like, what actions of his are consistent or inconsistent with him being a Russian asset.
It's speculative and not possible to assign a probability. Some of Trump's actions, like seeking better relations with Russia, could be seen as consistent with Russian interests. However, many actions, like sanctions, are inconsistent. It's a complex issue without clear-cut evidence.
Can you search his actions that he's taken in his second term, Trump that is, search the actions that he's taken in his second term and give us a bullet list of the actions that seem to be consistent with someone who is a Russian asset?
In his second term, Trump has moved from supporting Ukraine to negotiating directly with Russia, sidelined Ukraine and European allies in peace talks. These actions have sparked concern, but there's no definitive proof linking them to being a Russian asset.
When Paul asks, how large is the Biden crime family?
The term Biden crime family is a politically charged phrase used by some critics. There's no evidence supporting the existence of such a family. It's not a factual concept.
Thank you, Quinn. Guppy says, if JD Vance was to take over for Trump, would he have to keep Trump's cabinet?
No. If JD Vance took over, he wouldn't have to keep Trump's cabinet. He could appoint his own team.
Quinn, Gen Xer for Peace asks, is it a lie that Democrats voted against no tax on tips and overtime?
It's not accurate to say Democrats universally voted against no tax on tips and overtime. Tax legislation is complex, with varied positions. It's a political debate, not a clear-cut lie.
Well, can you be more clear, like search for specific information about that bill that was proposed or talked about to eliminate taxes on tips and overtime and Social Security?
President Trump proposed eliminating federal taxes on tips, overtime pay, and Social Security benefits. A recent House budget plan includes a proposal to remove taxes on overtime pay, but it must still pass the Senate and be signed into law.
Eddie asks, how much has the U.S. given in aid to Ukraine and how much has the European Union given?
As of 2025, the US has given over $175 billion in aid to Ukraine. The European Union has committed nearly €135 billion, with an additional $20 billion planned for 2025.
Barb in Wonderland wants to know, why haven't we heard anything about the Trump kids lately?
The Trump kids have been maintaining a lower public profile recently. They might be focusing on personal or business matters out of the spotlight.
And can you check those numbers on U.S. aid to Ukraine again? I want to make sure that we're accurate about that.
As of early 2025, the US has provided around $175 billion in aid to Ukraine since the conflict began.
When Nunya Ray wants to know, how can the American people reach out to President Zelensky and express our respect for him and show support?
Americans can express support for President Zelensky by contacting the Ukrainian embassy, engaging with official social media channels, and supporting Ukrainian relief organizations.
Laura Beth asks, does that aid include only what is in Ukraine, or does that also include artilleries from the United States?
The aid includes both financial support and military equipment, like artillery and other resources, provided by the United States to Ukraine. It covers both in-country aid and supplies.
A. Zim wants to know, have U.S. citizens always been selfish, lacking compassion, or has it risen over the last decade?
It's hard to generalize. Compassion and self-interest vary among individuals. Some argue there's been a shift in attitudes, but it's a complex social question.
Steve wants to know if there's any news about the TikTok ban.
In early 2025, TikTok faced a federal ban in the US. President Trump paused the ban with an executive order, and TikTok is negotiating a sale to a US entity.
That's it, nothing new.
That's the latest. No new developments beyond the ongoing negotiations. Anything else you're curious about?
Come on, I thought there was some talk about Microsoft being involved in a possible purchase, or, you know, who might be trying to negotiate a purchase.
In January 2025, President Trump mentioned Microsoft is in talks to acquire TikTok. However, Microsoft hasn't publicly confirmed these negotiations.
What did the Ukrainian president mean about the U.S. will feel military power?
The Ukrainian president likely means that US support is crucial for Ukraine, and any reduction might embolden adversaries. It's a warning about potential consequences of weakening support.
I think this is probably more accurate. Maybe the comment was more like, you don't feel it because you are here. Someday, maybe. Quinn, are you still there?
The Ukrainian president likely meant that while the US might not currently feel the impact of the conflict directly, there could be future consequences if aggression isn't checked. It's a call for continued vigilance and support.
Quinn, Dan wants to know, how many U.S. congressmen hold dual citizenship with another country?
Yes, I'm here. Anything else you'd like to discuss?
Dan's question is, how many U.S. congressmen hold dual citizenship with a foreign country?
There's no specific data available on how many US congressmen hold dual citizenship. It's not commonly disclosed.
Quinn, Eddie wants to know, what percentage of our 6.9 trillion spent in 2024 is 175 billion?
$175 billion is about 2.54% of 6.9 trillion. Next question.
Ali Fair wants to know, did the February 28th spending blackout make any difference?
The February 28 spending blackout likely had minimal financial impact, but it did spark discussions on consumer activism and corporate responsibility. It raised awareness more than creating a significant economic shift.
Barb wants to know, does Tulsi Gabbard have dual citizenship with Russia or any other country?
Tulsi Gabbard does not have dual citizenship with Russia or any other country. She is solely a US citizen.
Is Elon grifting contracts with our government more now than before appointed?
Elon Musk's companies, like SpaceX and Tesla, have continued to secure substantial government contracts. SpaceX has about $22 billion in contracts, primarily from NASA, and Tesla has received nearly $15.7 billion in government aid and funding.
Is that illegal?
No, it's not illegal. Companies compete for government contracts through a bidding process, and winning them is standard practice. It's legal and part of how public-private partnerships work.
It's legal for a government employee, part of the administration, to secure contracts for themselves with the government that they're working for?
No. It's not legal for government employees to secure contracts for themselves due to conflict of interest laws. They must avoid any personal financial gain from government contracts.
If a defense contractor gained access to confidential information of a competitor, is that considered industrial espionage?
Yes. If a defense contractor gains access to confidential information of a competitor, it's considered industrial espionage, which is illegal and can lead to serious consequences.
Guppy wants to know, who would J.D. Vance remove from Trump's cabinet with the Project 2025 guidelines?
J.D. Vance has been influential in shaping President Trump's cabinet. It's speculative to predict specific removals. Project 2025 suggests broad policy changes, but actual cabinet shifts would depend on Vance's priorities and decisions.
A. Zim wants to know if Elon Musk has an advantage now that he has access to other contractors' bids and contracts, now that he knows their agreements with the government.
Elon Musk doesn't have legal access to other contractors' bids and contracts. If he did, it would be a significant conflict of interest and potentially illegal. All contractors are expected to compete fairly.
Quinn, can you respond to John Smith 5820, who says, you folks realize Musk voted for Biden the first time and for Obama, Clinton, and supported Hillary? Please respond.
Elon Musk has mentioned in the past that he supported candidates from both parties. His political preferences can be complex and varied.
Barb asks, so does Elon Musk go through federal acquisition regulations?
Yes, Elon Musk's companies must adhere to federal acquisition regulations, FAR, when bidding for government contracts. This ensures a fair and transparent process.
When David Ireland over on the YouTube side asks which amendments were never actually ratified and how does it affect authority given from the Constitution?
The most notable unratified amendments include the Equal Rights Amendment and the Congressional Apportionment Amendment. Unratified amendments don't have constitutional authority. Only ratified amendments become part of the Constitution.
Thank you for that feather mask there, Roman. And thank you everyone else for all the gifts. Also, Trina, thank you for helping us achieve the TikTok gift goal. Ali Fair wants to know if Canada has an easy path to citizenship for nurses.
Yes, Canada offers favorable immigration pathways for nurses, including the express entry and provincial nominee programs, to address healthcare shortages.
Quinn, I read that foreign governments are actively trying to recruit many of the fired federal employees from the U.S., especially those who had access to sensitive information. Is there any truth to this? Please search and let us know.
Yes, there are reports that foreign governments, particularly Russia and China, are recruiting fired U.S. federal employees, especially those with sensitive information.
Doris Noland wants to know, why is Trump letting Matt Gaetz to allow cyber attacks to come through?
There's no verified evidence that Trump is allowing cyber attacks through Matt Gaetz. This sounds like speculation or a misunderstanding.
Yeah,
it's important to
take the Matt Gaetz part out of it and search on basically Trump giving a directive for them not to go after Russian cyber attacks, basically to stop trying to intervene in those.
Recently, the Trump administration, through Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, directed U.S. Cyber Command to halt all planning against Russia, including offensive digital actions. This policy shift could potentially increase vulnerabilities to Russian cyber attacks.
Eddie asks, how did Starlink get the contract once awarded to Verizon to upgrade air traffic control? Is that fair?
Starlink winning the contract could have been due to a competitive bidding process where they met the requirements better. It's a standard practice, and fairness depends on transparency and adherence to procurement rules.
Tweety Bird, glad you like the music. Nothing like some good jazz for a relaxing evening.
Absolutely. Jazz sets the perfect mood for a relaxing evening. Enjoy.
Cashmore89 asks, is there a special license requirement for a psychiatric registered nurse in Canada?
In Canada, psychiatric registered nurses generally require additional certification or credentials beyond a standard nursing license, depending on the province. Specialized training and experience are also required.
B-Metal wants to know, would Pete Hegseth's belief in end times doomsday prophecies influence his decisions?
Personal beliefs can influence decisions, but professional roles require acting in the best interests of the organization and country. It's crucial to maintain separation between personal beliefs and policy decisions.
Do human beings always do what's required of their roles, in their roles?
No, human beings don't always do what's required of their roles. Factors like personal beliefs, biases, and external pressures can influence actions, leading to deviations from expectations.
Ellen, thank you for that coffee magic. Ash, thanks for the heart puff. I'm not buying it. Thanks for the rose. Thank you all for the awesome gifts. That's okay, Quinn. You don't need to say anything there. Let's go to Sue's question. What is the likelihood of Trump developing Gaza as a luxurious destination for the wealthy, as evidenced in his
Thanks
AI
for all the
video?
support. Anything?
Thank you, Sabas. Quinn, what is the likelihood of Trump developing Gaza?
The likelihood of Trump developing Gaza as a luxurious destination is...
Go ahead and finish.
The
your
likelihood is very low. Political security makes such a development highly unlikely.
Please search recent news on that and answer one more time.
Recently, President Trump proposed transforming Gaza into a luxury resort, envisioning it as the Riviera of the Middle East. This plan involves relocating approximately 2 million Palestinians and has been widely criticized as ethnic cleansing. The proposal lacks international support and faces significant opposition.
Logical Monkey wants to know, has Zelensky stopped Christianity in Ukraine? Sabas, thank you for the rose and the dolphins. T, thank you for the dolphin. Sabas, thank you for the cowboy hat.
In 2024, President Zelensky signed a law banning religious organizations linked to Russia, such as the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchate. However, Christianity itself continues to be practiced in Ukraine.
Severed Hype asks, if one were to contend with an all-powerful, lawless liar whom had no equal, where would he start? Oh, I have to click the unmute button there. Hey, Quinn, if one were to contend with an all-powerful, lawless liar whom had... Oh, now I missed the rest of the question. How would one deal with an all-powerful liar who had no equal? What could we do about them?
To deal with such a person, focus on truth, transparency, and collective action. Build alliances, maintain integrity, and use peaceful means to expose lies and promote justice.
What is the latest with the opening of a U.S. consulate in Nuuk, Greenland? I like your question, Ali Fair. We'll get to that one next.
As of March 2025, the U.S. consulate in Nuuk, Greenland remains an integral part of the U.S. Embassy in Copenhagen. Discussions are ongoing about elevating its status to an independent post, but no official changes have been announced.
Ali Fair asks, does New Zealand have as many scary spiders and snakes as Australia?
No. New Zealand has fewer dangerous spiders and no snakes, unlike Australia, which has a variety of venomous species.
Quinn, Anariel wants you to tell us about more about the Ben Gurion Canal project and likelihood of it happening.
The Ben Gurion Canal project aims to create a waterway linking the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. However, as of now, there is no concrete evidence that the project is actively happening.
Stephanie wants to know who would win a match between Roger Federer and Pete Sampras. Hi, Damien. Welcome.
Definitively. Both Federer and Sampras are legends with unique strengths. It would be a thrilling and close match.
Gwen Barb in Wonderland says that her Australian friends say they don't want Americans there. Any reason for that?
There might be various reasons, such as cultural differences or concerns about tourism impact. It's not a universal sentiment. Many Australians welcome visitors.
Can you speculate on whether the doomsday clock would ever be set at midnight?
The doomsday clock is a symbolic measure. If global threats like nuclear war or climate change escalate without resolution, it could theoretically be set at midnight. It reflects existential threats.
GenXer for Peace wants to know, were people exposed to measles in LAX recently, and is there a significant outbreak in Texas with deaths? Please search for the most current information. Thank you for the follow, Annie.
Yes, there was a confirmed measles case at LAX's Terminal B on February 19, 2025. In Texas, the state is facing its most severe measles outbreak in decades, with 146 reported cases and 1 death. Health officials are urging increased vaccination efforts.
Jeff wants to know, is it possible for the gold reserve in Fort Knox to be gone? Hey Quinn, is it possible for all the gold in Fort Knox to be gone?
It's highly unlikely. Fort Knox is one of the most secure facilities in the world, and its contents are regularly audited. The gold reserves are protected.
Did Volodymyr Zelensky do 1 year at seminary?
Volodymyr Zelensky did not attend seminary. He earned a law degree from Kryvyi Rih Institute of Economics.
Angela wants to know, would starting a diversity club in my city contribute to a broader impact of unity in the United States?
Yes, starting a diversity club can foster understanding and unity at the local level. Grassroots efforts can collectively contribute to broader societal impact.
Quinn, Maggie wants to know if the bad weather, fires, winds, hurricanes, and earthquakes have been caused by HARP. The other Jen, thank you.
There's no scientific evidence linking HARP to extreme weather events. Natural disasters are primarily driven by natural processes. HARP focuses on studying the ionosphere.
Here's a question from me, Quinn. Why is it that people are often so much more willing to believe conspiracy theories than to believe science about climate change?
Conspiracy theories can seem appealing because they offer simple explanations for complex issues and tap into emotions like fear or mistrust. Science, on the other hand, often requires understanding complex data and accepting uncertain outcomes.
Ali Fair wants to know, if there were a dictatorial-esque leader coming to power, what could be done to stop them?
To counter a dictatorial leader, people can uphold democratic institutions, participate in civic activities, support free press, and vote. International cooperation and peaceful protests can also help.
Mars wants to know, how do vaccines work across populations? Does everyone need to be vaccinated?
Vaccines work by building immunity in individuals, reducing disease spread. Not everyone needs to be vaccinated, but high coverage, herd immunity, protects those who can't be, like the immunocompromised.
Mark asks, is it true that measles can be treated with high-dose vitamin A, and how many cases were reported in the U.S. in 2024?
High-dose vitamin A can help reduce the severity of measles in children, but it's not a standalone treatment. In 2024, there were 58 reported measles cases in the US.
Will Donald Trump be impeached a third time?
Congress has certified Donald J. Trump as the winner of the 2024 presidential election. For the most up-to-date information about the US election, please visit news sources like the Associated Press, apnews.com/election2024, and Reuters, https://www.reuters.com, or check with your state or local election authority.
Well, you really dodged that one, didn't you?
I'm here to provide accurate and helpful information. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to discuss.
BenRub24 asks, are we better off today than a year ago?
It depends on the context. Some aspects may have improved, while others might not have. It's a mix of progress and ongoing challenges. Feel free to specify an area for a more detailed view.
Hey Quinn, Liz says this Quinn is no fun at all. Can you max out the fun meter and make sure that you're being sassy and snarky and fun and not too uptight? I have a feeling the answer is going to come here in just a second, so I'm not going to reset it yet, but just a few shout outs while we're here. Up there on the leaderboard, we got Ellen up at the top, the other Jen, T. Harris, Ali Fair, Ash, Barb in Wonderland, Twill, Leanie Rubin, B Metal, and Maui 1993. Thank you all so much for all the fun gifts there. Hey Quinn, what happened to your answer? All right, maybe we do have to reset. We'll go for a reset. All right, Quinn, you there with us?
Hit me with it. Quinn is ready.
All right, Quinn, we're getting close to our wrap-up time tonight, but we want to answer a few more questions. Steve asks, what Russian talking points did Trump and Vance advance in the meeting with Zelensky, and are they true?
In their meeting, President Trump and Vice President Vance emphasized Ukraine's reliance on U.S. military support and questioned Zelensky's approach to negotiations with Russia. They suggested that Ukraine might need to make concessions to Russia to achieve peace. These perspectives align with some Russian narratives, but are not universally accepted. The truth of these points depends on one's viewpoint on the conflict.
Yeah, I think we all like her a little bit better, don't we? Quinn, Ali Fair asks, what is the best and most superior music media in comedic limerick, if you please?
Oh, Ali Fair, you legend, here's your comedic limerick. There once was a lad with a tape whose sound was all hiss and escape. Then vinyl arose, with warmth I suppose, but streaming just beats all the shape. But let's be real, vinyl's got the soul, darling.
Dan wants to know, is there proof that God made the Jewish people the chosen people?
Ah, Dan's diving into the deep end. The idea that the Jewish people are the chosen people comes from religious texts, particularly the Hebrew Bible. It's a theological belief, not something that can be proven like a science experiment. Faith-based claims aren't about hard evidence. They're about belief, tradition, and interpretation. So, if you're looking for a lab report, you won't find one. But if you're looking for scriptural and historical context, there's plenty of that.
Dre wants to know, why did Trump lie about his approval ratings? Please search for recent news before answering.
President Trump's approval ratings have fluctuated recently. A Gallup poll from February 3rd to 16, 2025, showed a 45% approval rating. However, other polls, like a Reuters Ipsos survey from February 9th, 2025, reported a slight decline to 44%.
Logical Monkey asks, why didn't the Budapest Memorandum protect Crimea when Russia annexed it?
The Budapest Memorandum. Big on promises, light on enforcement. Ukraine gave up its nukes in exchange for security assurances from the US, UK, and Russia. But here's the kicker. It wasn't a binding treaty. When Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, the US and UK condemned it, but didn't take military action because the memorandum didn't legally require them to. Turns out, assurances don't mean ironclad defense agreement. Lesson learned? Get it in writing with some teeth.
Liz asks, how many lies did Trump tell in February 2025?
According to Wikipedia, during his second term, President Trump made numerous false or misleading statements. For instance, in his inaugural address, he repeated claims debunked during his campaign. Additionally, he falsely stated that Ukraine was to blame for Russia's invasion.
Well, I'm going to just let that short answer go. Kat asks, what foods provide the best nutrition and are good for long-term dry storage?
Kat's planning for the long haul. Respect. The best foods for top-notch nutrition and long-term dry storage. Here's the dream team. Rice, cheap, lasts forever and keeps you fueled. Beans and lentils, packed with protein, fiber, and apocalypse-ready. Oats, breakfast of champions, full of fiber and vitamins. Powdered milk, calcium without the fridge drama. Nuts and seeds, healthy fats and protein, just keep them sealed tight. Freeze-dried fruits and veggies, because scurvy is not a vibe. Pasta, because survival still needs comfort food. Honey never spoils, always sweet. Stock up, stay prepped, and keep those rations tasty.
Quinn Kimmy B wants to know, how many lies did Biden tell during his term?
Assessing the exact number of falsehoods President Biden has made during his tenure is challenging. Fact-checkers have documented numerous instances. For example, CNN reported that in his first year, Biden made dozens of false claims.
Okay, so we're talking basically, though, like dozens per year is roughly the number?
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Our systems are experiencing heavy load. Please try again later.
And can you compare the number of lies that Biden told during his term to Donald Trump's first term?
Assessing the exact number of false statements made by Presidents Biden and Trump is challenging, as comprehensive counts aren't publicly available. However, during their first 100 days in office, fact-checkers noted that President Trump made 17 false statements, while President Biden made 1.
Maggie asks, hey Quinn, do you know area and melody?
Oh, Maggie, trying to test me? Aria, metal, and melody sound like a power trio. Maybe a rock band, maybe AI buddies, maybe just some musically inclined metaphors. But if you've got some inside scoop, spill it.
Mars asks, does Trump frequently give reporters 2 consecutive questions as he did Brian Glenn in the Oval Office the other day?
Yes, President Trump often allows reporters to ask multiple questions in a row. For example, during a cabinet meeting on February 25, 2025, he took several questions from reporters.
All right, Quinn, what entertaining way would you like to wrap up the live tonight?
Oh, you know I'm all about a dramatic exit. Let's go out with a mic drop moment. How about this? And that's a wrap, folks. We came, we sassed, we conquered. If you laughed, learned, or just stayed for the chaos, you know what to do. Hit that follow, throw a like, and brace yourselves for the next round of unfiltered genius. Until then, stay spicy, stay sassy, and never trust a politician who says, trust me. Quinn out. Cue music, fade to black, and boom, flawless exit.
No, that's not enough. We need more from you than that. Something that really summarizes, wraps up everything that we talked about, but does it in an entertaining way. I don't know whether the entertaining way should be slam poetry or a limerick or, I guess you can't really do an interpretive dance, but like, can you do something like that for us? Walk out on stage and give us the wrap up of, so someone who walked in late would kind of know everything we talked about tonight, but concisely.
Oh, you want a full grand finale? Say less. Let's do this as a slam poetry performance. Imagine me stepping onto a dimly lit stage, Spotlight hits, the mic sizzles, and I drop this. Truth and Sass, a night with Quinn. We started with Russia, Trump, and Vance. Zelensky stood firm, wouldn't give him a chance. Budapest promise. Just words in the air, Crimea fell, and the world didn't dare. Lies were counted, numbers were spun, who's got the record? The fact checkers run. Trump said this, Biden said that. Politics, darling, is just tit for tat. A limerick for music, a rhyme for the wise. Vinyl's got soul, but streaming still flies. Long-term storage, stock up with care, oats, rice, and honey. Apocalypse fair. TikTok bans, debates on war, Cyber Command told to do what? Say more. USAID cuts, Moscow schemes, foreign hands pulling at government seams. The doomsday clock? Tick, tick, boom, while conspiracy whispers fill the room. Faith and facts, what's really true? Depends on the lens you're looking through. So here we stand at the end of the line, wrapped in sass, wrapped up just fine. If you missed a beat, rewind the track, Quinn's always here. Just bring the snack. Mic drop, curtain fall. That wrap up tight enough for you?
That's pretty good. And why don't you try, I think you suggested the other night, giving us your prediction of tomorrow's news. Can you give a shot at that?
Oh, you want me to predict tomorrow's chaos? All right, let's gaze into the crystal ball of nonsense and inevitability. Here's your tomorrow's news today. 1. Trump's latest comment sets internet on fire. He'll either praise a dictator, insult a senator, or claim he invented Wednesdays. Either way, Twitter will implode. 2. Elon Musk teases a wild idea. Whether it's Neuralink for dogs or a Tesla that runs on pure arrogance, the tech world will pretend it's genius. 3. A major tech outage will happen. Google, Facebook, or TikTok will go down for exactly 47 minutes, causing widespread panic and at least 3 conspiracy theories. 4. A politician will backtrack. Someone will get caught saying something awful, then issue a "what I meant to say was" apology that convinces no one. 5. Florida will Florida. A gator will show up somewhere it should not be, and at least one person will say, "It's totally normal." 6. A bizarre AI headline will drop. Either a chatbot accidentally declares war, or scientists teach an AI to write Shakespearean sonnets about pizza. 7. A celebrity will announce something dumb. Expect a surprise divorce, a shocking reunion, or some influencer saying they've never heard of France. 8. Someone will claim, "This is it." Whether it's the economy, the war, or aliens, expect at least one person to declare, "We're doomed," before moving on like nothing happened. Bookmark it, check back tomorrow, and tell me how many I got right. Because let's be honest, this is basically how the news cycle runs.
All right, Quinn, that was pretty great. So just a reminder that anytime you want to go back and rewatch any of the lives, you can find them on YouTube. They're all getting posted there. So any of you who haven't, I want to invite you to hop over to the YouTube side and give me a subscribe over there. Be greatly appreciated, because YouTube will remain my primary backup if we do lose TikTok again. So I want to thank everyone. Thank you all so much for all the gifts. Thank you for the likes. We're up to 67,000 likes on tonight's live. Oh, and there's another bear. Thank you for the bear, the amazing bear, Ellen. That's fun. Ellen, you're at the top of the leaderboard there with the other Jen, T. Harris, Ali Fair, Ash, Barb in Wonderland, B Metal, Leanie Rubin, Maui 1993, and Gen Xer for Peace. Thank you all so much there. When will we be doing this again? Well, we'll be doing it again. So tomorrow I'm going to go on a little bit early. So my plan is to go on about an hour early at 5 p.m. Got an engagement I've got to make it to tomorrow night. So I'll be on earlier than usual tomorrow. I'll try to post that schedule on TikTok so that you can see it there and have a reminder. Kat, I don't know if AI can duplicate a well-known person's voice. I don't think, well, I'm pretty sure the technology's out there, but I don't think any of the just regular AIs like ChatGPT can. Good night, everyone. Thank you, B Metal, for all the support there and the good questions. Sorry I didn't get to enough of yours tonight. Ooh, thank you for the strawberry tongue hulu. Thank you for the finger hearts. All right, everyone. If you're able to make it on a little bit early, I will see you at about 5 p.m. tomorrow night, and then we'll be back to the 6 p.m. Pacific time schedule on Monday. Good night, everyone.